A house cost 44 Bitcoin in 2019. Today, that exact same house costs about six and a half. Stop scrolling, because that one fact quietly breaks almost everything you've been told about buying a home. The house didn't get cheaper in dollars. In dollars, it got about 30% more expensive. It got cheaper in Bitcoin, almost 90% cheaper. Same house. The only thing that changed is what you measured it in. And here's the part that got me. This week I said that out loud at an open house. A $725,000 listing. I ran the numbers for the realtor right there, and she went quiet. Then she said, and I quote, "Yeah, Bitcoin's a better deal right now." That's the realtor. At her own open house, talking herself out of a commission. She agreed because the math isn't an opinion. And if you've ever felt like the just buy a house, renting is throwing money away advice was built for somebody else's situation and not yours, stay with me, because what I found is going to confirm exactly what you suspected. And look, if you've been here a while, you know I don't just say things. Back in November, when Bitcoin surged to 90,000, I told you it was a trap. I made a whole video on it. Everybody was euphoric, and I said be careful. Look where we are now. Extreme fear, market in the red, exactly the backside of that move. That call played out. So when I tell you what the numbers are saying today, you know it's not hype. It's the same lens. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how a house drops from 44 Bitcoin to 6, the real cost of that 30-year mortgage, the one number realtors never put on the flyer, and the strategy I backtested through every Bitcoin cycle since 2018, including the part the Bitcoin guys will not tell you, the honest part, the part that could blow the whole thing up. And look, this isn't theory for me. This is the exact conversation I'm having with my own kids about how to own a home one day. I am not teaching them to scrape together 3.5% and sign up to be a slave to a payment for 30 years. I'm teaching them this. So let me show you what I show them. Let's break it down. Here's the first thing nobody says out loud. Most people who buy a home never have the conversation we just had. Not with their realtor, not with a financial advisor, not with anybody. They save up, they get pre-approved, they sign, and they hope it works out. So let me hand you a question to sit with. One I ask people all the time. Are houses getting cheaper or more expensive? Most people say more expensive. Obviously, right? Rates are high, prices are high. A few people will say cheaper, and here's the tell. Those are almost always the cash buyers, the folks who already think about money differently. The answer, the one I hit you with at the top, more expensive in dollars, dramatically cheaper in Bitcoin. Now let me actually prove it, because this is the most important chart in the whole video. Back in 2019, the median American home was about $313,000. Bitcoin that year averaged around 7,000. So to buy the typical house, you needed roughly 44 Bitcoin. Today, that same median home is about $403,000, up almost 30% in dollars. But Bitcoin's trading around 62,000. So that house now costs you about 6.5 Bitcoin. 44 Bitcoin down to 6.5. Priced in dollars, the house got 29% more expensive. Priced in Bitcoin, it got almost 90% cheaper. Same house. The only thing that changed is what you measured it in. That's not a trick. That's the whole thesis of this video in one number. The house didn't get more valuable. Your dollars got weaker, and the things some people were saving in got stronger. So the real question was never rent or buy. It's what are you holding your savings in while you wait? Which brings us to the lie. You've heard it your whole life. Renting is throwing money away. You're paying your landlord's mortgage. A house is the best investment you'll ever make. Get on the ladder before you're priced out forever. And here's why that advice feels true. Because for your parents, it kind of was. They bought it 3% or 5% on a house that cost a fraction of what it costs today. The math worked. The advice came from a real place. But the advice didn't update. The prices did, the rates did, and nobody went back and reran the numbers for somebody buying in 2026. So that's the fear, right? You feel behind. You feel like every month you rent, you're missing out. Like the responsible adult thing, the thing that proves you've made it, is to sign for the house. And the moment you hesitate, somebody makes you feel like you're being financially irresponsible. I'm going to show you the opposite is true. Not with my opinion, with a calculator. Let's use the real house. 725. I told the realtor I had 145,000 in cash to put down. That's 20%. Exactly 20%. Which is the good news because it means no PMI, no mortgage insurance tacked on top. So far, so good. But 20% down means you're still financing the other 80%. That's a $580,000 loan. At today's rate, about 6.5% on a 30-year, the principal and interest comes out to roughly $3,666 a month. Then add property taxes, about $450 a month. Then homeowners insurance, about $196 a month. Add it up, $4,312 a month to own. Now here's the number realtors never put on the flyer. Watch what happens over 30 years. You don't pay back 580 grand. Over 30 years at 6.5%, you pay back roughly $1.3 million. More than double. And in the early years, the years you're most likely to actually live there before you move, almost every dollar of that payment is interest. You're barely touching the principal. In year one, out of that $3,600 a month, only around $500 is actually buying you a sliver of the house. The rest is rent. It's just rent you pay to the bank instead of a landlord. Let that one land. The you're paying your landlord's mortgage line? When you finance at 6.5%, you're paying the bank's mortgage for 30 years. And then there's the part nobody budgets for. The roof, the water heater, and here in Arizona, the AC. An AC unit out here is not cheap. And in this heat, it works for a living. When that goes, that's not the bank's problem, and it's not a landlord's problem. It's yours. 5, 10, 15 grand on a random Tuesday in July. So the true cost of owning isn't even the 4,300. It's 4,300 minus the little bit of principal you're building, plus the maintenance you're now on the hook for. Call the real monthly cost of owning somewhere around $4,000 a month in money that's just gone. Now, the house down the street. Same street. Renting for $3,500 a month. So right out of the gate, renting is $812 a month cheaper on the sticker. And once you account for the fact that the renter isn't buying the AC, isn't buying the roof, isn't paying the bank double, the real gap is bigger than that. That's the mechanism. Renting isn't the irresponsible choice here. At 6.5% on this house, renting is just cheaper. Full stop. But cheaper isn't the whole story. Because the real question isn't rent or buy. It's, what do you do with the money you free up? Real quick, if this is already changing how you see your own situation, do me one favor. Drop a comment with the rate you'd be buying at today. 6%? 7? I read these, and I want to see where you all actually are. It helps me make the next breakdown sharper. Okay, here's where it gets interesting, and here's where the realtor went quiet. If you rent, you keep the $145,000 in your pocket instead of handing it to the bank as a down payment. And you save that spread every single month. So now you've got a lump of cash and a monthly surplus that the buyer doesn't have. The buyer locked theirs up in a house at 6.5%. You get to invest yours. So I asked the realtor the question that ended the conversation. I said, payment for 30 years or payment for 5? Because what if that freed up money, invested, could buy the house outright in a fraction of the time? Now, I want to be careful here because this is where finance YouTube usually goes off a cliff. So let me show you what's real and what's hype in order. First, the real part. And if you watched my buying the dip video last summer, the $10,000 crypto strategy one, this is going to sound familiar because it's the same play, just taken all the way to its conclusion. Back then I told you, buy when everyone's scared. Today I'm going to show you exactly how scared and exactly what it's been worth. I backtested a simple, almost dumb strategy. Buy Bitcoin when the crypto fear and greed index is in extreme fear, down around 16 or lower, and hold until the market flips to extreme greed. Buy when everyone's terrified, sell when everyone's euphoric. Let's see how that actually did. The COVID crash, March 2020. Fear and greed hit single digits, total panic. Bitcoin around $5,000. By the time the market hit extreme greed less than a year later, Bitcoin was up over 10 times. The FTX collapse, November 2022. Fear and greed at 12. Capitulation. Bitcoin around $15,500, a 2-year low. By November 2024, when the index hit 94, extreme greed, Bitcoin was just under 100,000. That's more than 6 times your money in 2 years. And the 2018 bottom into the 2021 peak? Even bigger. Now, remember the number we need. To turn that 145,000 plus the monthly surplus into 725,000, enough to buy the house in cash, in 5 years, you need about a 29% annual return. And every single one of those cycles blew past 29%. Not by a little, by a mile. So when the realtor said Bitcoin's a better deal right now, she wasn't wrong about the direction. The history is on that side. But here's the part the Bitcoin guys will not tell you. And if you take nothing else from this video, take this. Number 1, the exit rule is broken. People say sell at 100. The fear and greed index has never hit 100. Its all-time high is 99. Cycle peaks realistically top out in the mid-90s. So hold until 100 is a sell signal that may literally never fire. You need a real rule, like 90 plus, or you'll ride it all the way back down. Number 2, the returns are shrinking every cycle. 19 times, then 12 times, then 6. That's not bad luck. That's a maturing trillion-dollar asset. Each cycle pays less than the last. Betting that the next one clears 29% is plausible. Betting it's a guarantee is how people get hurt. Number 3, and this is the big one. The strategy worked because the exit landed on greed. But your mortgage has a deadline. The market does not care about your deadline. Today, right now, the index is sitting at 12. Extreme fear. If your 5-year mark lands in a fear phase instead of a greed phase, you're either selling into a 70 or 80% drawdown, or you're missing the house entirely. You don't get to pick when euphoria shows up, but your timeline does have a clock on it. That mismatch is the whole risk. So here's the honest money conclusion. It's not Bitcoin beats real estate. That's the bumper sticker version, and it'll get you in trouble. The real conclusion is this. At 6.5%, buying this house means financing 600 grand for 30 years and locking up 145,000 that could be working for you. Renting the same street is cheaper today. That part's just arithmetic. What you do with the difference is a separate decision, with a separate risk you control. So what do you actually do with this? Here's the signal, and here's the move. 1. Separate the two decisions. Should I rent or buy is one question. And on this house, at this rate, renting wins on cost. Where do I put the difference is a totally different question. Don't let a good rent versus buy decision get bundled with a speculative bet and have the first one launder the risk of the second. Keep them apart. 2. If you do want crypto exposure, size it as money you could watch drop 75% without it touching where you sleep. Your house fund and your risk capital are not the same dollars. The minute your shelter depends on the cycle timing out perfectly, you've turned a smart move into a gamble. 3. Watch the signal, not the noise. The fear and greed index is at 12 right now. Extreme fear. Historically, that's been where the opportunity lives, not the danger. But historically is doing a lot of work in that sentence, and you heard the 3 catches. And 4. Don't take my house numbers, run your own. I built a free calculator and put it on the site. Links in the description. Here's what it actually does. You drag in your home price, your down payment, your rent, your rate, and instead of some made-up growth number, it defaults to the average of every real Bitcoin fear to greed cycle since 2018. All 3 are right there in a table with the dates and the prices, so you can check my math. It builds in the capital gains tax you'd owe when you sell to buy, using this year's rates. So the finish line is the real after-tax number. And there's a flat market button that shows you the downside, the part nobody else models. It's not there to sell you Bitcoin. It's there to let you compare real numbers and decide for yourself. Go play with it. Here's what I'm watching next. I want to see whether this fear phase deepens or turns, and I'm going to track this exact strategy, real numbers, out in the open, so you can see whether the math holds up or falls apart. No bumper stickers, just the calculator. Because that's the whole point of this channel. When the financial advice you've been handed doesn't match the numbers in front of you, we rerun the numbers, wherever they lead. Even when they lead somewhere a realtor wouldn't put on the flyer. So, the takeaway in one sentence. At 6.5%, renting this house is cheaper than buying it, and the real game is what you do with the money you free up. That's the lesson I'm handing my kids instead of, go get a mortgage and good luck. So go run your own numbers in that calculator. Links in the description. And if this is your kind of thing, where I don't just give you a hot take, I hand you the actual numbers and let you decide, get on the newsletter. That's where I go deeper. The real math, the real trade-offs, no hype. Built so you can compare it yourself and learn. Link's right under this video. It's free, and it's the stuff I wish someone had shown me at 25. And if you want the 2 videos that set this up, go watch Why I'm Buying the Dip, where I laid out the strategy. And Bitcoin surge to 90,000 is a trap. The call that just played out. I'll put both right here. Next week, I'm breaking down the one part of this nobody's modeling. What happens to this exact math if mortgage rates actually drop? Because if they do, the whole rent versus buy answer can flip. And what I found running those numbers genuinely surprised me. Subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you in the next one.